Okay, welcome to the Ame Aratzim. This is the full Daf Yomi edition shir. Again, I'm going to emphasize that Ame Aretz is not a derogatory term. It's actually a compliment. It's preferable to be an Ame Aretz and a Talmid Chacham. It's preferable to start out as an Ame Aretz and then become a Talmid Chacham. That's why the whole world learns Daf Yomi. It's become the accepted worldwide limud, and we'll start off today with a little bit of amaratus. I got a delivery yesterday from Amazon. I ordered some socks from Tommy Hilfiger socks. I prefer to only wear Tommy Hilfiger socks. So you can see the socks. I'm going to show you the new socks that I bought. See the Tommy Hilfiger logo. My wife is not such a fan of the color. She says that it looks like I'm not even wearing socks. I guess with a nude color for tights that girls wear. Which leads me to my next point, is that what's the connection between the Torah and socks? And I want to say it like this, that in the Torah, the Gemara in Shabbos talks about two different types of things that you're allowed to carry outside on Shabbos. There's a kli, there's a beged, which you wear for warmth and protection from the elements, and then there's a tachshit. Tachshit is an ornament. It's something which is different than a kli. You're also allowed to carry that on Shabbos, but there's not for me the tachshit. The tachshit you're not allowed to carry on Shabbos, not allowed to wear. What is a tachshit? What's the difference between a tachshit and a kli? A tachshit is something that you don't necessarily have to wear, like a watch, for example. There's clocks all over the place. You could ask someone the time. A belt. Yeah, you could wear pants that fit you. Socks. You could wear without socks. You could wear shoes. Even shoes. You can wear sandals. You don't have to wear fancy shoes. All of these things are considered tachshitim, meaning they're fashion accessories. They're accessories. If you look up the word accessory on Google, it'll tell you things that you wear more for fashion more than for actual protection from the elements. And when it comes to fashion, there's a reason I go with Tommy Hilfiger, because Tommy Hilfiger is often referred to as Tommy, which sounds like Tomei, Marissa Tomei. She's an Italian actress. We also know there's another famous American brand of clothing. It's Ralph Lauren. Actually, he was a Jew. He went to MTA. His name was Ralph Lifshitz. He grew up, I think, modern Orthodox, and I guess you'd say he went off the derech. Changed his name to Ralph Lauren. He's now famous now, worth about $7 billion. Anyway, Lauren is named after Sophia Loren, which she split time between Italy and France, but we can pretty much call her French. And we know America is a place where you buy clothes that you need for kalim, that you need for warmth, or they provide high quality clothing like that. But if you want luxury, if you want fashion statements, luxury, Europe is the capital of luxury. All the fancy companies, the luxurious companies, Europe is known for its luxury. Maybe not in Poland where they used to have potatoes, but places like Italy and France. So Tommy Hilfiger is Italian, Marissa Tomei. And French would be Ralph Lauren. Now, personally, most of the things I wear, I have Geox shoes, which is an Italian brand, very good shoes. One for 600 shekel here in Israel. Not such a bad deal. They last me 2 years. Tommy Hilfiger socks, which you mentioned the connection to Italy. I also wear, I don't wear a Rolex watch. I want to wear a Rolex watch. I think that's from Italy also. I don't have the ability. I don't have $25,000 to spend on my gold Rolex watch that I want. At least not yet. These are all things that I wear for fashion, for style, to look good to other people. That's mainly to look good to other people. And that's what Italy is for. France is luxury that you wear for yourself. That's why the cologne that I prefer is Ralph Lauren cologne. Sophia Loren, French, Ralph Lauren cologne. I wear that mostly for myself. I smell very good. People like how I smell. Ralph Lauren black. I think they have a blue also. The black's a little cheaper. I got that in Yerushalayim. And if I wanted to have fancy cufflinks, I would probably buy Cartier's. It's probably the biggest jewelry company in the world, a French company. If you really want a very fancy watch, there's also a Patek Philippe, which is probably could cost you upwards of $100,000. If you want to know, the Pope wears one. The Pope gets a Patek Philippe, probably one of the most recognized names of watches in the world. That's really on the border between France and Italy. It's worn by the Pope, who lives in Italy. So anyway, I got my Tommy Hilfiger socks. I'm all ready. So that's the difference between a kli and a tachshit. A tachshit is fashion statement, and like we said, there's two fashion statements. There's fashion statements that you wear for other people, namely, if you're a man, you wear it for a lady. It should look good, right? Looking good is judged based on the opposite gender. If you look good in the eyes of women, that means you're dressed well. If you look good in the eyes of men, that means you're ready to play sports. You don't look good. So it's judged by that. And if you want to feel good, certain things you wear for yourself, like cologne, cufflinks, those you choose French brands. For tachshitim, for the luxurious accessories. Also, I had a conversation with, I bought the Schottenstein Art Scroll Yomi edition, replacing Yerushalayim. I talked to Avi again. I called him yesterday. He still hadn't given me my receipt. Finally, I got through to Avi. He says, "Oh, I just got the receipt half an hour ago. Why are you bothering me? Why are you calling me?" I said, "I called you last night, the night before. You said me you lost my name, and then you took it again. You said me you sent the receipt. It's a day later. Still haven't sent the receipt." He's like, "No problem. I'm going to send it. What's the problem? Why the big deal? I'll send it right now. I'm going to send it in a couple minutes." So I told him, "Thank you, Avi." Like in a dear way, like, mocking him a little bit that, "Thank you, Avi. Like we're best friends." This guy told me he knew my uncle, so he thought we were best friends. But the guy, he's a typical Israeli. He's an American guy. I don't know why he's acting Israeli. Anyway, I said, "Thank you, Avi." He hung up the phone right away. Hung up on me. He did send the receipt about 3 hours later, so I don't know what you want to make out of that. All right, we'll start today with the Daf Yomi, the standard Daf Yomi edition. The Gemara on Nuntet Amud Beis was talking about the Gemara says, there's no concept in the Torah where if you did the mitzvah, if the mitzvah was fulfilled already with that object, you can do me'ilah. It's called consecrated, and you violate me'ilah. The Gemara says, "Is that true? Trumas hadeshen, when you burn the ashes, when you burn the meat on the mizbeach, so you have ashes left over on the coals, and that's considered either is me'ilah." The Gemara says, "Mishum dehavi trumas hadeshen big dekuna shnei ksuvin abayin ke'echad." There's two examples in the Torah where there is me'ilah after it's used. Big Kahuna is talking about the begadim lavanim, the white clothes of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. That it says v'nicham sham, you leave it there. That tune and gniza we'll see in a second. So there's two examples where there is me'ilah after it's already used. So what's going on over here? So the Gemara says whenever there's only two examples in the Torah, it means those are the only two examples, and you can't learn from it to the rest of the Torah. So the Gemara says according to the Rabbanan Shita, they learn the big day kahuna of the Kohen Gadol. You have to put it in gniza. You can't use it. There's me'ilah. El Rabbi Dosa, the big day kahuna ru'in and the Kohen Hedyot, that a Kohen Hedyot could use them for big day love on a different time. Michael and Maimar, it's not Shnei Ksuvin Among Ke'echad, it's only one pasuk. We have another pasuk, another object in the Torah that there is me'ilah after you use it. Egla Rufa, when someone dies between the two cities, you don't know which city was responsible for his murder, so you bring an Egla Rufa, and you can't benefit from the Egla Rufa, this calf that you take a hammer, not a hammer, you take a knife and you chop it in the back of the neck and you knock off the neck, so that you can't use it afterwards. So that those two are shnei ksuvin among ke'echad. All shnei ksuvin among ke'echad ein malamdin. Hanicha l'man damar ein malamdin. El l'man damar malamdin ma'ikal. That itself is a machlokas. Shnei ksuvin among ke'echad ein malamdin. Um, but there's a man Amar who says that you could learn from Shnei Ksuv and Malka Echad. So the Gemara says, Trei Me'ute Ksiva, the Gemara switches. It's not because of Shnei Ksuv and Malka Echad and Malam. It's because it's two exceptions, two Miutim, written in the Torah. V'samo ha'arufa. It says by Big Day Kuna v'samo. Only that, you place that there. So that and only that there's Me'ila after you're done with it. Ha'arufa, hey, tell me that Arufa is another, it's the only example besides Big Day Kahuna where you can't use it after it's finished. There's Me'ila. And the rest says, V'hani tlasi cry b'dam lamli. It's not like Mara's back. We said before on the Talmud Beis that there's three psukim, three different explanations of why there's no Me'ila by blood. So the Gemara says, why do you need three psukim? So the Gemara says, really, chalamute minosar, chalamute mi'ila, chalamute mituma. The Gemara says, really, you're right. You only need one pasuk to exclude dam from mi'ila. The other pasuk is to exclude dam from nosar. If you eat blood, obviously you're chayav for eating blood. You're not allowed to eat blood, but you're not chayav also for eating nosar. If it remained over blood of an animal, remained over the time that you could eat the meat of the animal, you're not chayav for nosar. And also for tuma, if your tummy, your body's tummy, and you eat blood, you're not chayav for eating kadshim betuma. Avam pigul lo sarach lamute. But the Gemara says from pigul you don't have to be mamayed. That what we already know. This not kol sheyesh lo matir and bein la'adam bein lemizbeach chayav and alav mishum pigul. But dam atzma matiru. There's a klal we said in Zvachim that anything which needs matir, we need something to matir it. For example, the meat of an animal, for the kohanim to eat it, or for the bailim to eat it. The zrikas hadam, throwing of the blood, for example, is a matir. It matirs you to eat it. It matirs to burn it on the mizbeach. You can't do those things before you throw the blood. But dam itself is not. It doesn't need a matir. It is a matir. It's the zrikas hadam is matir something else. So therefore, there's no pigul by that. So therefore, you don't need a miyut for that. Now, I just want to say to emphasize the chiddush that I said the other day that we were saying that. Shvichas on Nunted, we're saying there's a mitzvah of shvichas on the Karen HaMaravi, the Yisod HaMaravi of Mizbeach. It would work out nicely because the Gemara said, the Gemara on Nunted base seems to have a maskana that you connect lifnei kapara la'achar kapara. Now we could say, since there's only one pasuk to mayit dam from Me'ila, we could say it's one of the first psukim, like lachem shalachem yehei, and really we wouldn't darshan l'fnei kapara l'achar kapara, and there would be a hevdel that before kapara, before you pour it on the yisod, there is me'ila, like we said in the Mishnah, yesh me'ila b'dam, and after you pour it on the mizbeah, after you pour it and it goes into nachal kidron, then there's no me'ila, and that's the ein l'chadar shnas molin bo. The mitzvah was done, it was fulfilled. You do the shvicha and the karen maravis, and then there's no me'ila anymore. All right, the Mishnah says, "Kol ma'aseh Yom Kippurim amar al seder im hiktim ma'aseh lechaveiro lo asa klum." Every ma'aseh Yom Kippur that you do on the seder, there was a certain order of the avodas that you do on Yom Kippur. If you did one avodah before another, lo asa klum. Therefore, basically, you did it out of order, so you have to go back and do the first one again. For example, you sprinkle the damasar, you shechted the sar before the par. Then, when you're doing, let's say you sprinkle the damasar first in the Kodesh HaKodashim, you have to go ahead and sprinkle the damapar and then sprinkle the damasar afterwards. So that, and also, let's say you shechted the par and you were sprinkling it inside the Kodesh HaKodashim, and the blood spilled. You didn't finish, so then you have to go ahead and go back and shech the par again, and do everything in order again. Also, when you sprinkle in the heichal onto the parokas, in front of the parokas. And also when you mix the blood and you applied it to the mizbeach hazav, shekul and kapar b'nei atzman. All these things, the Kodesh HaKodashim, the heichal, the hazav, they're all their own avoda. And within each avoda, if you did one thing before the one that's supposed to go first, then you have to redo it. They say, they hold there's no halacha like this, that if you do something out of order. They say, let's say you did the dama sawyer before the dama par, then you just do, or let's say you did the dama par and then the blood spilled, so you just go back. You don't have to when you shock the animal, the par again. You don't have to start from, let's say you did 4 applications of blood, 4 sprinklings of blood. You just go and do 4 more. You don't have to do another 8. Like we said in the Mishnah, this price is echoing what we said in the Mishnah. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Emasai, but dvarim anasim big they love and mifnim. Al dvarim anasim big they love and bachutz. But parts of the avoda that were done when the Kohen Gadol was wearing big day lavan outside of the heichal, make the ma'is l'chavero masha asa also, and then you could do it out of order. Nechemia Omer med marmum dvarim anasim big day lavan bein mifnim bein bachutz. Al dvarim anasim big day zav bachutz masha asa also. He is makel even a little more. He says that he's machmir a little more. He says even if it was big day love and v'chutz, that there's a problem with doing it out of order. The only problem not doing it out of order is when he's wearing big day zav v'chutz. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Shtei Mikra Echadash. Rabbi Yochanan is going to explain where Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemia argue in a pasuk. V'haisa zos lachem l'chukas olam achas b'shana. A pasuk says by Avodim Yom Kippurim, this pasuk. Rabbi Yehuda said, he says it depends on, it's the pasuk's only relevant. It says chukah. Chukah is normally a limitation, has to be done in order. So therefore, it's only referring to the place where you're miskapim pamachas b'shana. It says pamachas b'shana. Achas b'shana, the pasuk says, once a year. So it's only the place, only in the Kodesh. He says it's the clothes that you use only once a year, which is a big day love one. So therefore, even b'chutz, the seder is ma'akev. The Gemara asks on this on Rabbi Yochanan. Does Rabbi Yehuda find the word makom in the pasuk? Elahainu time with Rabbi Yehuda. A different reason, Rabbi Yehuda. Ksiv zos, ksiv acha. It says 2 words in this pasuk: zos and achas. Chad lamute big day love b'chutz, and chad lamute big day zav. One is to exclude from having the necessity for precedence, big day lav and machutz, and one is for big day zav. Rabbi Nechemia, who holds that there is a necessity for precedence by big day lav and machutz. So what does he do with this pasuk? Big day zav v'chad lamute shirayim d'lo ma'akvi. One is to tell me that big day zav there's no ikuv on the order, and one is to tell me that the shirayim, when you pour the blood on the mizbeach chitzon outside, so therefore if you do something, the way Rashi explains it, if you do something before that, it's still valid. Rabbi Yehuda ima'akvi below ma'akvi lo ma'akvi. What does Rabbi Yehuda do with shirayim, with pouring the blood? He says if it's ma'akiv, it's ma'akiv. If it's not ma'akiv, it's not ma'akiv. Meaning, since it's done with big day lavan v'chutz, so like he said before, big day lavan v'chutz, the order does matter, and Rabbi Yehuda holds it does matter. So he wouldn't learn shirayim. There's no necessity to do it. There would be a necessity to do it in order. Kedistanya. Like we said in a braysa, v'chila michiper es hakodesh, im kiper kila, v'im lo kiper lo kila. Divri Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva holds, he darshans his pasuk a little backwards. It says v'chila michiper es hakodesh. He finished doing kapara in the kodesh. So he darshans the pasuk backwards that kapara comes before the word kila. So if you did kapara, we'll see what this means. If you did a full kapara, then you're finished. If not, not. Rabbi Kiva Amar lo Rabbi Yehuda mimnei lo nemar im kila kiper im lo kila lo kiper. If it's going to be like that, it should say both in the positive and in the negative. Shem chisar achas min utanos lo asav lo klum. Therefore, he learns the pasuk straight up. The chila michiber es hakodesh, not that the kapara is the determining factor whether you're finished or not. It just means literally you have to finish doing the avoda. So is there an nafkamina? We'll see. I think Gemara asks, is there a nafkamina between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Chadamar mashmos darshanik minai. One says really there's no difference. There's no halachic nafkamina between them. They're just ways of darshaning, 2 different ways of darshaning the pasuk. Now I gave a shir, and I'm going to give a shir The Ron Ranchberg learns, according to this first way of learning this machlokes, the mashmos dorshani kumenayu, is that both Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yehuda would both hold that shirayim is not ma'akev. And when it comes to pouring the blood on the mizbeach, on the yesod of the mizbeach, yesod ma'aravi, so it wouldn't be ma'akev. If you do something before it, it wouldn't be a problem. Now, this is obviously a problem because the Gemara said one of these opinions here is Rabbi Yehuda, and we just said Rabbi Yehuda holds ima'akvi ma'akvi, lo ma'akvi ma'akvi. He says doesn't big they love him b'chutz. It is ma'akiv. So this is a problem that Ramashberg I dealt with in my chidushim. Again, you could argue on an achron. I'm allowed to. And the other mandamar says, we're not sure it's Rabbi Yeshua or Rabbi Yochanan, says Shirayim ma'akvi ikubenayu. The machlokes is whether Shirayim is ma'akiv or not. That according to Rabbi Akiva, he says as long as you did the main part of the kapara in kiper kila. If you did the main part of the kapara, meaning excluding the pouring of the blood on the yesod, then you finished. It doesn't matter if you do something before pouring the blood. And Rabbi Yehuda would hold that it does matter. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan, did Rabbi Yochanan really say this? Amar Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara is going back. Rabbi Yochanan was the explanation of the original machlokes in Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemia of whether big they love him b'chutz, the seder is ma'akev or not. Did Rabbi Yochanan really say this? In Rabbi Nechemia, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Tani Rabbi Nechemia, K'divrei Omer Shirayim ma'akvi. Nechemia holds, Gemara in Zvachim. Rashi brings the halacha over there that Shayari Adam Shekrivan b'chutz chayu. If you're makriv the remnants of the blood that you normally pour on the mizbeach and you're makriv them outside the base of Mikdash, you're chayu. Al ma'avodahin b'fnim. So he says, you see, the shirayim is considered to be an equal. Now, presumably, what's going on over here is Rabbi Nechemia is saying it has nothing to do with what we were talking about before, whether the seder is ma'akev by the shirayim. If you do something before the shirayim, before pouring the blood on the mizbeach, on the yisod mizbeach, the seder is ma'akev. And really, it's a halacha of whether you have to do it at all or not. If you did it, and presumably even if you did it out of order, as long as you did it, that would be the main thing. So the Gemara says kash, or the Gemara says a question, because before Reb Nechemia says shirayim are not ma'akiv, one meter was shirayim lo ma'akiv, here is shirayim ma'akiv, and obviously based on what I just explained the Gemara, you can see that kasha, there is an answer to the question. It's a little bit of a question, but if we think a little deeper, right, we could understand, we can answer the question by saying that, like what I just said before, that up until now we were talking about whether doing it out of order was the problem or not. And here, this Gemara that he quotes, Rabbi Yochanan quotes, the halacha like Rabbi Nechemia in Zvachim, that's talking about whether you have to do the shirayim at all or not. But Rabbi Nechemia would agree that the seder is not ma'akiv. That's what he said before. The seder is not ma'akiv, but you must do the shvicha. You have to do it at some point. Even if you do it out of order, that would be okay. Amar Rabbi Chanina, Torah shechafna kodem shchitaso shalpar lo'asa v'lo klum. Chanina says that if you when you're supposed to put the ketores in your hands, in a fistful of 2 fistfuls of the ketores before you bring it in to burn it in the kodesh hakdashim. If you do it before the shechita of the par, the Kohen Gadol, he has to shech before he does the chafina. Lo'asa v'lo klum. If he does it before, he does it in order, he didn't do anything. He has to go back and do it in order. Command the Lok Rabbi Yehuda. Gemara says that this teaching of Rabbi Chanina is not like Rabbi Yehuda. The Rabbi Yehuda Amar ki ksiva chuka b'dvar manasim b'dilavim mifnima hu deksiva. Because when you take the chafina, when you take the ketores in your fistful, that's something which is done big day lovin and bachutz. It's done outside, and so according to Rabbi Yehuda, he says that big day lovin bachutz. To say there is not ma'akiv. So therefore it can't be like Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chanina says it is ma'akiv. So it must be like Rabbi Chanina saying Rabbi Nechemia. So Mar says, "Afilu teim Rabbi Yehuda sarach panim kepanim dami." Since the chafina was done for going inside the kodesh hakdashim, you burnt in the kodesh hakdashim. It's like an avoda, big day lava on mivifnim, and therefore, even according to Yehuda, you have to do it again. You have to do it in order. The Mishnah says that if you were sprinkling the blood and you spilled the blood of the par, you have to go shecht it again and do another 8 hazos with the par in the Kodesh HaKodashim. If he holds like Rabbi Yehuda, like Rabbi Chanina, if Rabbi Yehuda was able to fit according to Rabbi Chanina, so it should say that he should go ahead, shecht it, and then after you shecht it, you're supposed to take the Ketores in your hands and then go in. So why doesn't the Mishnah say that? You see, the Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara says, "Ketores lo kamayri." On top of Samach Aleph and Aleph, Ketores lo kamayri. Rashi says, the Mishnah is not talking about the Ketores, but really it meant to say that you have to shech the par and you have to do the chafina with the Ketores again. And that is the summation of our shir for today. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope that you purchased the right things. If you notice, my glasses did change. I used to have Armani glasses. Fashion statement, because glasses you don't need, you can buy contact lenses, so it's an accessory, it's a fashion statement. I had my Armani, which is Italian brand, those who don't know, and they were not Armani at the highest level, they're Armani Exchange, the middle level. Can't really afford the real Armani, that's very expensive glasses, but now I changed to rimless glasses. These are from store 109 in Yerushalayim, meaning the cheapest glasses are 109. Of course, I paid not 109 shekel. I had a bargain, a haggle my way to 600 shekel. The guy tells me 400 shekel. I paid 400 shekel. He calls me up the next morning. No, it's another 400 shekel. Why? Because these are called transition glasses or photochromatic glasses. They change the black or gray in the sun. I wanted sunglasses also. When you have a prescription, you could either have 2 pairs of glasses or get the photochromatic ones. Some people say they look a little nerdy, but I think gray, dark gray looks nice with rimless glasses, not with bigger glasses. So this I bought an Israeli brand because it's really more functional than fashion statement. It serves as sunglasses and it serves as regular glasses, so I don't need my Armanis. The Armanis I spent 700, these I spent 600 with haggling the guy. The guy says 700. I said 600. The guy says 650. I say no, 600. He calls his boss on the phone. He says he wants it for 600. Who Akshan? He says I'm Akshan. So the guy again. The boss says 650. I say no, only 600. So the guy tells me I'll call you back. He called me back a couple minutes later. He agreed. This is the way you do business in Israel. I'm not paying 600 shekel for glasses from store 109, cheapest glasses store. They sell glasses for 109 shekel. I always feel like I'm getting ripped off there in Israel, but glasses 600 shekel? How much do these glasses really cost? You can buy them online for like $10, right? All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.